Bruins with a shot to tie it or win it with 12 seconds. Zhang again with the ball in his hands, in the paint, floater, short, got it back, ties it with 3. Gonzaga has time to do something. Suggs for the win. Oh yes! Unbelievable! Unbelievable! A perfect season.
This Final Four buzzer beater thriller between Gonzaga and UCLA in this year's NCAA March Madness tournament pulled in about 17 million viewers. This is more than twice the average viewership for last year's 7.5 million viewers for the NBA Finals, and is comparable to most NBA Finals viewership over the past decade. And while NBA player salaries rise every year, having reached an average of $8.32 million last season, NCAA athletes continue to be forbidden from earning money from their labor. In this video essay, I'll explain why college athletes can't earn an income and why I think they should be paid. Let's start with the actual NCAA regulations. For those unfamiliar with the NCAA, it is the governing body for most college athletics. In their summary of eligibility requirements for Division I, the division with the highest level of competition, the NCAA states that, quote, "You are not eligible for participation in a sport if you have ever taken pay or the promise of pay for competing in that sport." They go on to elaborate that, quote, "You are not eligible in any sport if, after collegiate enrollment, you accept any pay for promoting a commercial product or service, or allow your name or picture to be used for promoting a commercial product or service." These regulations make it impossible for schools to pay their athletes, or for athletes to seek other sources of income, such as sponsorships, product promotions, or social media. This could be seen in action with the case of Donald De La Haye, kicker for the UCF football team. Better known as the YouTuber Destroying, the NCAA forced Donald to either stop making YouTube videos which related to his experience on UCF's football team, or leave the team, and he chose the latter. Now, what do collegiate athletes contribute to the university, which has caused many to call for them to be compensated? Well, a study for the National Bureau of Economic Research found that Division I sports make $8.5 billion a year, with 58% of that coming directly from football and men's basketball, and 15% coming from other sports. The remaining revenue comes from things like media rights, which the study finds that football and men's basketball contribute to the greatest. This discrepancy in the revenue earned by football and men's basketball and other sports has led to the first two sports being dubbed revenue sports and the rest non-revenue sports. For college athletes, mostly players of revenue sports, to generate such revenues without compensation is a stark difference from their professional counterparts. As the study points out that professional football players in the NFL and basketball players in the NBA get back about 50% of the revenues earned by their league. Most opponents of payment for college athletes argue that they are already paid, in a way, through their education. After all, tuition can run students tens of thousands of dollars a year. However, this relies on the common misconception that most college athletes get a free ride. In fact, the average scholarship for Division I athletes is $18,000, which doesn't even cover most out-of-state tuition, and only about 1% of Division I athletes receive a full scholarship. The argument also ignores the reality of academics for student athletes. A 2017 survey for the NCAA's Goals and Scores studies found that Division I athletes spent 35.4 hours on average on athletics a week, despite the NCAA's regulations allowing only 20 hours spent on practice a week. As explained by Alan Sanderson, and John Siegfried in their article, The Case for Paying College Athletes, coaches circumvent these regulations through, quote, compliance meetings, traveling to and from competitions, strength and conditioning, as well as athletic skill work, which do not count towards the 20-hour limit. The NCAA survey further found that Division I football players spend the most time on athletics of any group, at 44.8 hours a week, and football and men's basketball players spend more time on athletics than academics on average. Here's a clip from Vice's YouTube video, Why College Athletes Don't Get Paid, with Laurels Nairn Jr., a Michigan State basketball player, where he attests to how his athletic commitment affects his learning.
Is it tough to take advantage of your education when basketball is so demanding?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what a lot of people don't see, being a student athlete, missing a lot of school. And, one time, my freshman year, we played Duke, and we got home at 3 in the morning, and I had an 8 a.m. and I had to be there. So a lot of people don't see that kind of stuff. But, it's a sacrifice, but it's worth it.
These figures and the experience of Lou Rawls and many college athletes like him demonstrate that the athletic commitments of student athletes hinder their ability to concentrate on their education. However, the NCAA has regulations in place to block players from participating in sports who are not in a good academic standing. This has led to schools employing many methods to keep their athletes in good standing. In their article, Race and Class Exploitation, a study of black male student athletes, BSAs, on white campuses, Komanduri Murdy, Julian Roebuck, and Jimmy McCamey Jr. outline some of these methods, including encouraging athletes to pursue non-technical majors, which are less rigorous but often less translatable to careers, regardless of an athlete's preference, as well as pressuring professors into passing student athletes and having tests taken, papers prepared, and take-home exams taken for the athletes. And so, if athletes are largely unable to put in the effort they would like into their education, are passively pushed through higher education without any active learning of their own, and are pushed into fields against their will, which do not translate into careers as well, what value does a degree hold as payment in comparison to all the revenue athletes bring schools? Another payment that college athletes are said to receive is preparation for a career in athletics. Proponents of these arguments may point out that schools spend large sums of money on coaching, resources, and facilities, and that athletes are given the platform to be scouted and eventually drafted or signed by professional teams. Despite all of this being true, however, less than 2% of college athletes end up in professional athletic careers, according to the NCAA's own recruiting fact sheet. In addition, many athletes sustain multiple injuries during their college athletic careers, which can lead to long-term health issues, as well as a lessened chance at becoming a professional athlete. And so if only a small fraction of student athletes end up in professional athletic careers, athletic career preparation hardly seems to be fair payment as well. Let's go over what I presented today. I highlighted the specific language the NCAA uses, which prevents collegiate athletes from receiving an income either directly from schools or through the use of their name, image, and likeness. I highlighted the massive sums of revenue college athletes, mostly from the revenue sports of football and men's basketball, bring into their universities. Then I examined how student athletes don't receive nearly as much financial value through scholarship as is popularly believed, and how athletes' educations are hindered by their intrusive athletic commitments and rendered worthless by having their active learning stripped from them and being forced into majors that could result in less career opportunities against their will. In addition, I debunked the argument that athletes are paid for the opportunities they are given to pursue a professional athletic career, using the NCAA's own statistics about the low number of college athletes which end up going pro. This has led me to the conclusion that I outlined from the start, that college athletes should be paid. If they are going to be used to generate billions of dollars of revenue and fail to receive compensation through a hindered and worthless education or through future athletic career options, then they deserve compensation for their work just like everyone else. Because in the end, that's all this is about, being treated like everyone else.